In your paper, you have to use evidence to back up your viewpoints. There are two ways in your paper that you can write your evidence. You can quote your evidence or you can paraphrase your evidence. In your essay so far, you have 6 pieces of evidence. There are 2 pieces of evidence for each one of your body paragraphs. Your goal with today's lesson is to quote 3 pieces of evidence and to paraphrase 3 pieces of evidence. This lesson is going to specifically tell you which evidences that you should keep as quotes and which evidence that you should try to paraphrase. Here are 4 guidelines for determining if you should keep your evidence as a direct quote. The first one would be accuracy. If you feel like you are unable to paraphrase or summarize the source material without changing the author's message, then you are going to want to leave your evidence as a direct quote. This means if you rewrite the quote and it seems funny or the message is lost, you should keep it as a direct quote. Another guideline for determining your evidence is looking at the authority. If your evidence comes from a well-known, reliable source, and you feel like that source would help further persuade your audience, you are going to want to leave that as a direct quote. Another guideline for determining if you should paraphrase or leave your evidence as a direct quote would be looking at the conciseness. If you attempt to paraphrase or summarize the evidence and it seems awkward or it's much longer than the actual quote, you should leave it as a direct quote. And the final reason would be if the quote uses unforgettable language. This means that the author uses words that stand out. Maybe the author has very strong connotation, and therefore the quote is very effective as worded. Then you would want to leave that piece of evidence as a direct quote. What I'd like for you to do right now is I'd like you to look through the 6 pieces of evidence that you have found. I would like you to determine 3 of those evidence to keep as direct quotes. Please put a star next to each one of those pieces of evidence. Now we're going to talk about paraphrasing. You now have 3 pieces of evidence that you feel that you can paraphrase. So what is paraphrasing? Paraphrasing is just rewriting the text in your own words. Usually it shortens the statement, but it keeps the central idea. So how do we paraphrase? Well, the first thing is you have to read the passage or that piece of evidence very carefully. You have to understand what the sentence, what the quote is all about. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you keep that central idea. You don't want to lose the main meaning of that piece of evidence. Then what you need to do is you need to make it shorter. So determine what are some pieces that maybe aren't as important to the actual evidence. Then you need to use your own words. So you need to think about what can I replace? What can I change out? So I'm no longer using the author's language. I'm now using my own language. And your 4th step is that you want to mix up the order. So your sentence that you have now created should not follow the original structure of the evidence. So let's look at some examples. Here's an original passage. At the start of the Great Depression, many Americans wanted to believe that the hard times would be only temporary. Now, here's an example of paraphrasing. At the beginning of the Great Depression, a lot of Americans wanted to think that the hard times would be only temporary. This is not an example of paraphrasing because the student just replaced the words. If we look here, they replaced the word many with a lot. They replaced believe with think. Other than that, our sentence is pretty much exactly the same. You'll notice they did not change the order up. They also really didn't put anything into their own words. So this would not be an example of paraphrasing. This instead would be an example of plagiarism. Here's another passage. A letter of thanks is a courteous acknowledgement of a gift or of something that was done for you. Let's look at the paraphrasing example. A thank you note is a polite acknowledgement of a present or something nice someone did for you. Again, this is not going to be an example of paraphrasing because the student just replaced the words. Here we see a change of words here. We see a change of words here. And then we see a little bit of reordering of ideas, but not really too much. So again, this would not be an example of paraphrasing. This would be more an example of plagiarism. So what you guys are going to do right now to get some actual practice with paraphrasing is that you're going to complete a worksheet on quoting and paraphrasing. The worksheet's going to look like this, and it should be located in the binder. So please go ahead, grab that. You are going to work through that worksheet, then go back to your essay and try to paraphrase the 3 quotes that you did not put stars next to. When you are done, you are going to conference with your teacher. Please bring this worksheet and your essay.